This is Steve Ridgel, and I tell the story of Bartimaeus out of Mark 10 a lot. It's a great story to introduce the Jesus journey to people. But at the very first of that, for years I missed this in this story. It talks about Jesus and his disciples and a great crowd starting off down the road. And I used to just say, yeah, and just go on to what I thought was the meat of the story, but I've thought about that a lot. And so one of the things that we start when we talk to people, we start with that to say, we're looking for you to become a disciple of Jesus. When we talk about the Jesus journey, it's about being a follower of Jesus because there's a lot of people that are happy to be part of the crowd. Now you can play that out in a number of ways, but you know what it means to be part of the crowd around Jesus. I really don't want to follow Jesus. I really don't want him to be too intrusive in my life. But hey, I'll come to church. Most of the time, unless there's other things going on. And hey, I'll kick in a few bucks from time to time, as long as you don't ask me to do anything too radical with my money. Hey, I'll be nice to people that visit if I recognize them as a visitor and don't kind of crowd me out. And boy, the biggest crowd around Jesus is the two big Sundays where people that never go to church always show up: Christmas and Easter. Now, you're saying, so are you against that? No, I'm glad anytime anybody comes to church. I do worry that sometimes people in the crowd begin to think that they're truly followers. Because I show up at church, and I believe Jesus was God's son, and most of my life I try to be a good person, try not to do too many bad things. But here's the problem with being in the crowd. When push comes to shove and the real crunch comes, and eventually Satan will put that in your life, you're not equipped to make the decision. That's why I have churches saying, we want to follow Jesus. We really read the Bible. Wait, marriage has to be a man and a woman for life? I don't know, because there's a lot of people who don't believe that. And so okay, the crowd says, hey, Jesus is good. Let's don't really make him change things that'll make culture not like us. I really want to follow Jesus, but we know you really ought to be part of a church community. Well, I'm pretty busy with select sports and I'm pretty busy with this. And that's the only day I really have off because Saturday's so busy. And, I like everybody and I'll come some and I want to stay on the roll. And I don't know, you got to start thinking through some of that kind of stuff because it's really easy to be part of the crowd. Now, that even happens in people that I think really do try to be disciples. There are people that like what's happening at Hillcrest. We're reaching and converting a lot of people. And what we've come to realize, almost everybody in Hillcrest is all for that. We don't have it. If you're against reaching people for Jesus and bringing people in, you're probably not at Hillcrest. It's not your place. But we do have a lot of people that don't really actively do much with it yet. They're all for it, but they don't really want to go out of the way to invite new people to go eat or to share their story with somebody or to greet people or to have people crowd them out of their space. They're kind of fans of what's going on and they like it, but they're really not going to be involved. And then there's some that are involved on what I think is an acceptable level, but it's not quite the same as being right in the front of the battlefield. And here's what that is. Hey, I'll give some money if you need to help some people that have come into our fellowship. Hey, boy, I want to support. Still, let me give a word of encouragement to Steve or some of the people doing that. Hey, let me be sure and say hi and meet the people coming in. I'm not going to go further than that, but I'm going to be a great support person. And that's valuable and that's needed, and I appreciate people that do that. I appreciate people that are prayer warriors. But it's still true that in our church where God's doing an amazing thing, probably 10% of our members are actively, deeply, passionately involved in reaching people for Jesus. Others on occasion, different times. So I guess what I'm saying is put a lot of thought into the difference between being a disciple and being part of the crowd. And this is Steve Ridgel saying, I'm still working through it. Maybe you need to too.